Hello and welcome back to another episode of The Garden of Ethan. First of all, I feel like this shirt is very gardeny, which it's finally on theme for once. It's just mushrooms, mushrooms, nature, mushrooms, wild, mushrooms, gardens. Though we watch out for mushrooms in the garden because, there's always the chance it's poison. That's what it's like in all countries, right? There's always a chance of a poisonous mushroom. Anywho, all I know is, you eat so I don't know why I'm going so far into mushrooms. I'm a big mushroom eater, but scary how poison they are. And fungi as a whole, crazy. I've already thrown myself completely off the edge at the start. I was like, I could just do a whole mushroom podcast. I don't know, mushrooms are a very interesting thing, but that's not why we're here today. Well, at least it's not on my list to talk about today, but we've got an actually I was thinking about this in my head. I was like, we've got a real interesting fun one today. Not to say that it's not usually interesting or fun, but I feel like I really went outside this week and did things, which was, good because I actually get stories to talk about on the podcast, or at least stories that have all happened in the last week. Though I have been thinking about, I don't know when I'll ever actually get to this, wanting to film the same week that... How's it work? Film the same week that I post. So if I'm talking about something in the last episode, I talk about the Golden Globes, but we're already a week late from when the Golden Globes were. I feel like I want them to be more relevant, but I'll have to be too, because things happen in a week and I don't want it to backlog too much of fun things to talk about. So maybe if I have a really slow week, we'll backlog that, and then hopefully I'll be on track to make it. I don't know if anyone actually cares, but when I'm re-editing stuff and watching it, because I don't edit these too much, but when I go into it and figure out what I was talking about for the description, I'm like, oh god, the Golden Globes, I've already forgotten about them. We've moved on. So just a housekeeping thing. Well, keep it open, keep it transparent, talk about what's going on. But this week we've got a couple of interesting ones. Last story I'm going to talk about, I hope you stay for the whole thing and we get to have a nice time, but the last story is kind of it's kind of strange, a bit saucy, but also weird, and it's one of those things that would only happen to me, and I hated every moment, but it was a crazy story. But first thing we're going to talk about, we're going to actually go into these in the order I have them written, at least the order, because if anything happens, I write down my notes to talk about. But my friends and I, we went for a walk the other week. Now, these two friends that I have, we always go and walk at night. It's just a thing we do. It's great, especially in summer. It feels good because it's too hot to walk in the day. It's also everyone has jobs, so it's hard to find time. So we go for walks. Since I moved out of my parents' house, we don't go for walks as often, and apparently crazy things happen when we walk. But we don't walk as often, especially it's been winter, so it's just getting warmer, and all of us have to drive further. But we've had a couple of crazy stories, and I say crazy and you think how weird could a walk get? I'd say there's been police stuff happen, and the other one I don't know how to, because I want to tease it and be let me know if you want to hear about it, but I don't know how to tease the second one without giving away, because it happened very quickly, but it was a crazy thing, at least in my head. But the police one was wild, and that doesn't give much away, because you wouldn't think it would go where it goes. So let me know. I'm just teasing to be an asshole, so you're welcome. But they are some fun stories, so let me know if you want to hear that. But we're on our walk. I think it was light when we started because daylight savings is in effect, but it got darker by the time we get back. I think we walked, depends when we go, but this week we walked 10Ks. It's 15,000 steps. It was not what I was expecting, and it was hot, and I was absolutely sweating, but you're on the way back, you're like I wasn't expecting this, haven't done cardio in a while, but we walk through, it's not the forest and not the bush, but it's also not the suburbs. It's a kind of blend in between. It's a very bushy area, at some parts there's the backside of outer suburb houses, and then complete bush for like lots of times. There's like a creek at one point, you know, and then you kind of you go in and out of like areas where there are suburbs, and then you go in and out where you're just kind of mainly in bush, and it's a really fun walk. We do it all the time. And it's no stranger to, you know, being very fucking dark. Like, there's no lights on this track. It's scary when you see people because you're like, hi, are you a murderer? And it's also scary when you don't see people because you're like, I remember the last time I saw someone, but we've been hearing creepy things in the bushes and we don't know what's out there. But other than that, and a couple of crazy experiences, nothing goes that wrong. Also, there's like a group of 3 of us, so we feel pretty safe. But, we're walking back and, you know, generally we hear a lot of sounds. So we're used to that. There's, you know, possums in the trees, birds all around, very bushy area. But we're doing our walk, talking about things, having a bitch, having a catch up, having a good time. And we like, well, from my perspective, I see like this thing like dart into the bushes, and it kind of darted, but it was kind of big. So I was like, is there a person? Like, you know, when sometimes, you know, there's like a trail, like it's a concreted path, but people like walk off it because they go a different way. So we kind of looked at that and I was like, like maybe it was a person, but it moved very quickly. So it was kind of like, oh, was it like a dog? Like someone's walking their dog, they're behind a bit, you know, maybe they'll catch up and we'll see them and their dog's just going forward. And then we're like, wow, it moved very quickly. So it kind of disappeared for like 5 seconds, and you kind of just think, oh, well, that's that. We're not gonna, we'll see what happens moving forward. But we're like looking at it because we're all kind of aware of this thing. And then out from behind these bushes jumps this massive kangaroo. And kangaroos you see a lot. You know, it's Australia. It's what happens. There are a lot of them. Like a lot of them. Even in like the suburbs and rural areas, you will get them eventually. And if you get further out into more rural areas, you see a fuck ton of them. And like bushy areas, that's just where they are and hang out. They have a great time. But you know, when I see kangaroos most of the time, it's in a car, and like they'll be on the side, they'll be jumping around, or you see them in a paddock from afar, and you don't really have to get close to them, which is, you know, as an Australian, you think maybe you should know what to do when encountering a kangaroo. Maybe I missed that lesson in in kangaroo studies, but it was like a big one. I felt like as tall as... You can never kind of tell because they kind of like... Kangaroo's body, it doesn't feel like if they got up on their hind legs, you would see more of their height. You know, because they kind of crouch a bit. But it was pretty massive for general, you're just out on a chill walk to see something. And it like jumped, and it was kind of jumping down, and it was far enough away where we're like, oh, you know, like, it's just a kangaroo, it's fine, we chill. And, you know... We're just like, we keep walking, and then it darts at us. Oh my god, fear was in my eyes. Because, you know, kangaroos, cute and lovable, yes. But they also can fucking murder you. Like, their claws on their feet can just, like, rip you apart. And just, like, you know, they could punch you. They're huge creatures. They're, like, purely muscle. Look, they are scary when they're coming at you fairly quickly. So... for a good, like, 2 seconds, felt like 5 hours, it just, like, it was, like, chill, darts at us. And we were kind of, like, looked at it, and I was like, I would much prefer, like, a scary person coming at me, because this thing is huge. I don't know how to stop it. It's, like, coming at us, runs straight at us, and then darts straight, like, beside us and runs off. And we were kind of just like, oh... Anyone else a bit fucking nervous there? And we're like, yep. One of my friends were like, well, luckily you were closest, so you would have died. We would have been fine, you would have died. I was just like, holy shit. Like, the things... I feel like I should, like... And I said this to them. I was like, I feel like I should Google what to do. Because I was like, are you meant to, like, lie down, play dead? Are you meant to, like, become big and scary? Because there's, you know, different ways to deal with things. And I was like, I don't know which we should have done. But, like... we should probably research this going forward into our walking experiences. I was just like, oh my god, that was nearly really bad. And then it like jumped past us. It kept going down the trail, and there's like a wooden bridge that we had just walked across. and you could hear it, just like the sound of it, like bounce, because they bounce, bouncing across the bridge. And I was like, holy shit, like the weight and power under that thing, it kind of like echoed, and we're like, fuck, we nearly died. I was just like, that thing was huge. And then I was like, obviously I was thinking, what are we meant to do? And then I was thinking about how, that's like, obviously it's such an Australian problem, because that wouldn't really happen anywhere else. You don't just have wild kangaroos are definitely only in Australia. Yeah. Besides in maybe like habitats and zoos. But I was just like, such a unique problem, such an Australian thing that you're just like going to die from kangaroo. But I was just, and then I like got me thinking about how crazy like the big Australian animals were. And then I was thinking about emus and cassowaries. If you haven't seen what a cassowary, I feel like I feel like all. And I don't want to be rude. I don't want to be rude to my American friends and my American viewers. But I feel like a lot of Americans call them emus. And there is something just like terribly wrong. Maybe that is the way to pronounce it. And like everyone I've ever met in life in Australia has been wrong. But it sounds so strange to me. I'm like, it feels wrong. So, emu, as I would say, emus are crazy, but I feel like they're the popular one. They're the popular pick when people think about giant birds and giant Australian birds. You think of emus and you think of, like ostriches, not in Australia, but when you think of like giant birds. But the crazy one, which I think Google it. I should Google it and check. I don't think it would be crazy, but a cassowary. It is an Australian bird, I'm pretty sure. It's the third, I'm pretty sure facts I knew as a kid and just have carried on for now. It's the third largest bird in the world. A cassowary is crazy because like an emu, it is just huge bird. But it has it's not a horn, but it's like a bone mohawk, not mohawk, but like plating on its head. And it's got like these such vibrant colors. They look crazy. They are crazy to see, like beautiful to see from afar, but like a little bit scary to think about if you had to go near it, because like there's a thing like a bird's eye is just like crazy. But those are two other things that I was thinking about. I was like, Australia, because I think in Queensland you can see cassowaries just like in the wild. I might be lying. Again, hold this all with a grain of salt, because I don't know what I'm talking. I'm no birdologist. I'm no animalologist. Zoologist, that might be the actual word. Avian Noah. But yeah, I definitely think in Queensland you can see cassowaries. But it's just like such an Australian thing to be like, oh, got back from, how was your walk, love? Yeah, it was great. Nearly got killed by a kangaroo. Just, your average Wednesday night. But I just thought it was so funny. I was like, yes. I like wrote it down straight away. I was like, good story to tell on podcast. Which was great. But the next story, second of my three for today, is, well, the overarching topic just says tennis, but that doesn't tell you much. I went to the tennis, something I don't do very often. Australia has a big tennis scene. We have the Australian Open, which is, I'm pretty sure, like one of the big 4 Grand Slams. I don't know what they're called. My housemate's a big tennis person. I am not, so I only retain some information that he tells me. But, there's like the US Open, Wimbledon, maybe another one in London, and then the Oz Open, one of the big 4, which is cool. And like the Australian Open is huge. It's like on all our like TV channels. It's like everyone goes, everyone's big into it, and it's great. I love that. I love knowing it's there every year, every year if I wanted to go. I'm just not the biggest tennis person, but for Christmas, I got a couple of tickets to the tennis, and it was great. I took my housemate because I knew he really likes tennis, and it was just a fun day out to go to the tennis. But I don't think in my life I've ever been, and this wasn't to the Oz Open, it was to the one before it's in Kooyong, which means nothing, but it's like a thing that happens with people that do play in the Australian Open, but before it, also people who don't, from what I have gathered. But the tennis is a crazy experience. I don't know. I loved watching the matches, but other than that, really strange atmosphere that felt very weird. I don't know if anyone can relate if you go to the tennis or not, but first of all, you like get there and you go to first of all, summer, I was sweating profusely. It was so hot. I couldn't focus on anything. And it's like outside, I was like so grateful to have shade, which I felt so bad for people who had seats that weren't in shade. But like there's this whole thing of like you go in and I was like going to walk to my seats and then the lady's like, oh, you can't go up to the game's done. I was like, what? I was like, oh, okay. And then we get up and I was like, there was a lot of chatter at this one, but I was talking to my friend and he's like, yeah, usually no one really talks as much during at the Oz Open because it's disrespectful. And I was like, I understand that, but there seems like there's a lot of rules at this thing. I was like, I don't know if I vibe a lot of rules. I'm not that, like, I follow a lot of rules, like laws, because I'm scared of like authority, but like rules, social rules aren't really my jam a lot of the time. I was just like, I'm actually a very good person. I'd like to put that out there. But some like rules like this, I was like, oh, really? I feel like really. And then there was all these like, felt like very rich people around and, they've all got their boxes and sent by companies. And there was just like, I felt like as an outsider who doesn't like partake in tennis or those like vibes a lot, it was also at like a tennis club, like an actual like, you go to the club, like a golf club, like a tennis club. It was very hoity-toity, very like high upper class. And I was like, ugh, there was just this uncomfortable feeling that I couldn't shake, which was really like surprising to me. I didn't think, like, I kind of thought that would be the vibe, but I would just, because there's also a lot of young people there that you would expect to be there, but you just see a lot of rich people and all these people like, bringing them stuff and you're just like, what the hell? I don't know if it's like anything of like substance that needs to be, taken down or stopped. It was just a thing that I noticed that I wasn't like prepared for and kind of a bit weirded out from. I was just like, oh, something I wasn't expecting. The tennis matches were actually pretty interesting and entertaining and fun to watch, but that was like, everything else was strange. Also, we like went to get lunch, obviously, because I was like, well, we got to eat here. We didn't know if we could go out or in, but we went up to the, now, this is something that needs to be changed in society. We went up they had a couple of food trucks. Not a lot to choose from. There was like Vietnamese, Greek food, burgers, and hot dogs. There was the 4 different food trucks. And we're like, cool, like, we'll go look at them. A hot dog and chips, like, combo was like $20. And I was like, are you kidding? Everything was like so expensive. And I understand. It's been that way for ages. Food trucks are always expensive. Things at places like, these events and stuff are always expensive. But I just cannot fathom how they can like get away with selling that thing. I know they have to make profit, but I could not imagine that they are not making so much profit. Even like I want their workers to be paid well. Do not get me wrong. But other than that, I'm just like a hot dog probably costs literally nothing to make, for people who buy it in wholesale. And this is just me complaining. I could be really wrong, but it's just crazy. Like what a hot dog and chips, because I know what it costs to just cook it myself. And I am just like, it is so far beyond what you would do to do it yourself. And I realize, you're getting someone else to do it for you. But it's one of those things that I feel like a lot of people could either take it of, oh, don't complain, that's how things are. But I feel like a lot of people get me. Shit's expensive that shouldn't be. Like, that's the be all end all. You're like, it's not worth it, but like, I was there, I was out for the day. I am, contributing to this culture because I'm purchasing things. And should I have packed a lunch? Yes, but I kind of forgot about it. And I was like, I'll treat myself. It's just one of those things you just go, are you kidding me? With these prices? But there was a DJ there who had a trumpet or saxophone or something that was vibing to his own, to the songs that he was DJing. So that, you know what? There's a give and take. I wrote that down. I was just like, oh, it's very funny to watch this guy just like pull out the trumpet in between games. So that was very fun to see. The only other thing that I had from the tennis, besides expensive food and a lot of rules, I'm a person who people watches, and since I was really enjoying the tennis, but I can't pay attention for that long to like that, because I wander, because tennis isn't my biggest interest. People watching, I'm looking at people around, a lot of interesting people, a lot of rich, well, you would assume are very rich people, with kids in like these like designer clothes, and you're like, interesting, but there was this like mother and little girl in front of us, and I was just like, they bought food from home. They were eating cucumbers, which I was like, because it was so hot, I was like, I nearly asked. I was like, can I have some snacks? Like, cucumber would be great in that, like, in that heat. I was just like, these people are smart and know what they're doing. But, the like little girl was obviously like very bored and didn't want to be there, but I think maybe it was the mum's passion to like watch the tennis. And she kept asking for snacks. And I'm just like seeing because I'm a food person. I'm clocking what everyone around me is eating constantly. I'm watching every burger go past, every hot dog, every snack that is pulled out of bags. Some guy had shapes. I was just like, I pay attention to these things. But it was the absolute funniest thing. You know those like chocolate, like it'll be a chocolate something on a stick and it's in like a little plastic satchel, but it would be like, you know, you just eat chocolate off a stick. It's like a giant lollipop, but it's just chocolate, and it's just like basically a glorified couple of pieces of chocolate on a stick, and maybe it has a pattern. And they're usually like probably Christmassy, you know, it's January, still from Christmas left over, but the mum gives this little girl this packet, and you can obviously see that there's like chocolate in it and the stick, and you're like, oh, you know, like that's nice. And this little girl holds this thing up, and I'm just like looking at it, and she holds it up, and it's just a stick in a melted puddle of chocolate. I felt so bad for this little girl. I was like, her poor snack, she doesn't get to eat it because it's just absolutely melted. I just look at my like housemate, and I'm like, are you seeing this? Like, is this not crazy? Like, also, who brings chocolate on like a 35-degree heat day? I was like, it is so hot. Chocolate ain't surviving anywhere. If you didn't bring an ice pack, that was just a dumb decision. And then I'm watching this little girl with like literally like a lollipop stick. Like, it's not a spoon or anything. Just try and scoop this chocolate up. I felt so bad for her, but it was also so hilarious at the same time. I was like, this poor child just wants to eat chocolate, and they're literally scooping melted chocolate because it was like the dumbest idea for someone to bring chocolate. Oh my God. I was just like, what the hell is going on? I was like, this isn't real. I was like, where are the cameras? This is a setup. This is too strange to watch. But that was wild to me. It was absolutely so wild. But the only other story I had for this week, yeah, tennis, crazy stuff. Let me know if you enjoy the tennis though, because maybe I'm just like weird. Let me know if you enjoy expensive food, which like from a food truck is never that good. But like, let me know what you think of the tennis. Also, let me know if you think you could take on a kangaroo because scary. But I went to my friend was house sitting the other day, and it was only a couple of days ago this one happened. This was like the really bizarre story to me, and we'll get into it. But my friend is house sitting at the moment, and she was like, oh, do you and our other friend want to come over? Because they had been wanting to watch Saltburn, and I've already seen it. Reaction up on the channel if you haven't seen it. It was really fun, really crazy movie. So it was a good reaction. I really enjoyed it. If you want to go watch it, check it out. But I was like, yeah, like, is it fine if I've already seen it? And they're like, yeah, of course. Like, we'll get dinner. So we go over there. And it's an area like I don't go to very often. Really busy. I had to park like a couple of streets away. I was like, that's fine. Like, you know, it's fine for me to just walk back to my car when we're done. So we go and we like get food. We get some Mexican food. It was really good. We catch up because one of them, you know, I haven't seen much since she'd just been away. I haven't seen them both in a while. So we were meant to like get there and watch Saltburn. But also, since our food took so long to actually show up, we talked for like a good couple of hours first. And it was really nice and fantastic. But we get into watching Saltburn. If you've seen it, you know what kind of weird mood it puts you in. You're like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening. I'm like, this is a weird vibe, but also like, we like the people in it, but like the acting's terrific, but the characters are crazy. And it just, Saltburn puts you in a weird sort of mood. Like, it's a crazy sort of situation and vibe. And you're just like, I don't know what's going on currently. So we finished Saltburn, and having seen it before, you know, I enjoyed watching again, but I was just like, whoa, that's a lot to see a second time, especially knowing what's coming. But also, like, I was just kept doing the impressions of the mum because I think she's hilarious. I just love the way that character, Elspeth, was acted. So I was doing impressions to them and annoying them, and we had a great time. But it finished very late, and I was like, I was like, well, I've got to drive back to my parents' house. So I'm driving like 40 minutes. I don't go to bed this late. I was like, I need to go before like I fall asleep at the wheel. So I was like, I'll just go, say goodbye. I was like, fantastic. We'll see you soon. So I'm walking to my car. This is when the story takes its crazy turn. And this whole thing happened over like 10 seconds. Not even like, I don't know how to word it, but we'll get into it. So I'm walking and, I just watch, Barry Keegan be Oliver in this weird movie and like do weird things and weird things are happening and crazy things are happening. And I'm like, I'm on like heightened on edge. I'm walking and I was like kind of looking around because it was a nice area. I'm like looking at the different apartments and I look up in this, like I'm looking at all the apartments, but most of the blinds are closed. And there's like there's like the apartment and then there's like a tree in front of it. I'm looking through like the tree and I see like what I assumed was like a back, like someone's back. I was like looking at it. I was like, I kind of took no thought of it, but I was kind of like, what is it? Like they were like kind of like sideways, and it was one of those things where I didn't like really think about it because I couldn't really see it. I was like, what's going on? So I like keep walking on the footpath because I'm like, I'll walk past the tree and I'll like look up. So I'm like keep walking, got my backpack on, but I'm like walking quick because it's like at night and no one really likes walking at night in an unfamiliar area. So I kind of like walk past and then I like go past this tree and I look up and I'm like, I was like, still walking and I'm like looking, I'm like, okay, it's like a back and they're like moving back and forth. They're moving back and forth, but there's like the person. I can't really see I can't really see the head, or it's purely torso. Couldn't tell a gender either, but I just knew they were going back and forth. I was like, it looks like they're. And then I was like, is there a person under them? And I was like, it kind of looks like they're having sex. And I was like, it kind of looks like they're having sex. And then I was like, oh my god, I'm just like, what? I'm just looking at these people like, and I was like, okay, well, it's fine because like and then I just. Do a quick scan of like the rest of the window because most of everything was just like this back, and there is the head of a guy, possibly on the bottom. I don't know. I didn't take into too much detail what was going on, but from what I am piecing back from my memory, someone was on top of him and he was lying down and looking out the window, but his like body's going that way, and then there's someone above him. He's just staring at me. And I was like, so like I've gone, oh, whoa, oh, are they having sex? Oh, just like look quickly, dead in the eyes. Dead in the fucking eyes. Our eyes meet. I'm looking at him. He's looking at me. I'm like, oh my god, it was the most awkward fucking thing ever. I've looked him in the eyes. We have been there for like 12 years. Like, a millennium went on from that one like millisecond I looked at him. I was like, oh my god. I stopped for a second from pure terror. Like, not because it was unsafe. I was just like, oh my god, what the fuck is going on? I'm just sitting there. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm just like hoisted my backpack and start like fucking booking it. I'm just like, oh my god, we just looked at each other. Oh Jesus, like why did he have to look at my eyes? I know I looked in his eyes too, but why was he there? And I was like, why did you have the blinds open while you're having sex? I know it's late at night, but there has been 4 other people walk past me on this one street. I was like, there are people fucking everywhere. Don't leave your blinds open while having sex. Oh my god. Well, you know what? I can't actually confirm or not whether it was sex, but I feel like sexy times were going on because I hopped in my car, instantly called my friends. I was like, oh no, I'm becoming Oliver, quick, what was going on? I just like look, because he has that scene where he's like watching Jacob Elordi with like someone. I was like, oh no, why is Saltburn happening in real life? So I was like, fuck, I called them. I was like, wasn't that crazy? And they're like, yeah. So I like slowly drive off to like pull out. And you know what? I like turned because I was like, surely they don't have the blinds still open. So I didn't go the way that it was, but I was turning out, but you could see the apartment, no light, like their blinds were down. I was like, oh my god, I was like, if you've shut the blinds, you were definitely having sex. I was just like, I've just stared at a man, dead in the eyes. I just locked eyes with him. We made contact we've seen each other's souls through each other's eyes. I was like, why does this happen to me? And I'm too awkward to do. Like, what was I meant to do? Wave? No, I think I handled it well by just walking the fuck off. But I was just like, am I cursed? Why are these things happen to me? Why does it happen to me? I didn't want to like walk into this or see this, but I did, and I had to lock eyes with him, and I don't know what emotion he was giving, but I've never, like, it was otherworldly. It was where I've never just locked eyes with someone like that before, and it was absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. But that was my crazy story for the week. So moral story of the week. Watch out for kangaroos, specifically if you live in Australia. Tennis, go on a cooler day, and don't have sex with your blinds open if you don't want random people to see you. / lock eyes with you. That's my morals of the week. I hope we really covered some bases this week. But yeah, let me know if you like the tennis, or I don't know, your blinds closed, because those people I like. We need to keep our blinds closed. I don't know. Does anyone else have just like crazy like things happen to them like that? Because I feel like that was kind of wild, and I'm excited to tell people. But I feel like sometimes when I tell people, they're like, it's not that crazy. I'm like, we locked eyes? But that's all from me this week. Yeah, let me know if you've been any weird experiences like that. Let me know if you want to hear any more like random stories from when I've been on walks at night. Thoughts on the tennis, but other than that, I hope you've been having a good week. I hope you enjoyed some of my stories from my past week. But overall, I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I hope to see you in the next one.